Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're not. It is Shot by Curt. So today's video is more so geared towards people who are just getting started in the videography space. And I got some tips for y'all that'll hopefully accelerate y'all growth process. So I got two main tips and then, the things in between. Main tip number one is shooting manual, period. Shooting in manual will definitely help you unlock all of the full capabilities of your camera. So then that goes into the little meat and potatoes in between, and then I'll tell y'all the last main tip at the end. So the first tip is to learn the exposure triangle. So if you don't know what that is, it's the ISO, the aperture, and the shutter speed. The ISO is pretty much the sensor sensitivity to the light. The aperture is pretty much the depth of field, so like your bokeh and things like that. And then the shutter speed is pretty much how long the sensor is exposed to the light. There's pretty much countless videos on learning the exposure triangle in depth, but that's just like a quick breakdown for you. Alright, so the second tip that we're gonna get into is frame rates. So something like this, talking head or interview, or just like a main sort of performance thing, you will want to shoot that in 24 frames per second. Your B-roll, you will want to catch that in 60 frames per second or higher. So if your camera has 48, 72, 120, 240, then that's your super slow B-roll, and that's ideally what you want to do there. So none of this matters if you go into your editing software and you set up your timeline wrong. Make sure you set your timeline up for 24 frames per second. So then when you put in your higher frame rates, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, then you can slow those down and get your slow, get your slow motion thing going. 60 frames per second, you can slow it down to 40%, 120 frames. You can slow it down to 20% on a 24 frames per second timeline. Now that we got that out the way, so another tip that you should focus on as a beginner is learning lighting. Lighting is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what camera you have, what camera you buy, how expensive. If your lighting is trash, your image is trash, which makes it not even worth saying that you have this expensive camera. For me, it was all camera this, lens that, and all these things matter too, but lighting is the most important. Had I learned lighting sooner, I'd be a lot further along. I was more so focused on trying to get the best low light camera or the best lens and the lowest aperture and so on and so forth, but all of that money I could have put into lighting and stuck with one of the solid cameras that I had prior, and I'd be so much better than what I am right now. So like all of right now is pretty much spent learning lighting. So I'm gonna help you accelerate this process. Learn lighting, invest in your lighting. There's plenty of tutorials on lighting. Actually, YC just put one up yesterday, at least from the time that you see in this video, maybe 2 days ago. He put up a video on lighting, just like basic setups that you would normally see in music videos, movies, so on and so forth. But I can't stress this enough. Learn lighting. Learn lighting. Lighting is king. Alright, so last but not least, I told you I got two main tips for you. The first tip being shooting manual. The second tip, as cliche as it sounds, practice. Shooting in manual when you first starting is not easy. Trust me, it was a hell of a learning curve for me, but once I learned it, it was the best thing I could have ever done because I unlocked the full potential of the camera. I learned how to adjust my settings on the fly, both shooting photos and videos. Understanding what all of these things mean, learning the rules so then you can properly break them. That's the best way I could put it. Like, you can break the rules, but you got to learn them first so then you can know how to properly break them, if that makes sense. So then you can use them to your creative advantage, if you will. But yeah, man, you just got to practice. Just get out, take a friend out, or just go shoot cars or birds or whatever, just so you can learn to adjust your exposure, all of these different things. And then once you get past that, invest in a couple lights, man. Like the Aperture MC, and this is a different video, but the Aperture MC is $100. They have lighting solutions that are $100 and below. They might not be of the best quality, but it's something to get started with. And then obviously they have $100 and up. So, you know, get you your PlayStation controller, or, you know, something that you've already bought, and take product shots with that using whatever light that you just bought, and just practice, man. Like, go watch YC's video. I make sure that I put a link in the description, so then y'all can check that out. It's just all the basic lighting that you would see in movies or music videos or whatever. At this point, I'm starting to ramble. If you like the video, definitely drop it a like, as it helps out the channel. Consider hitting that subscribe button for more videos like this and whatever else I'm, you know, putting out. Y'all stay creative. I'll catch y'all in the next video.